Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is Patient. Today we're here to continue about eating disorders, and today in particular we're going to talk about binge eating disorder. Now, what is binge eating disorder? Binge eating disorder refers to recurrent episodes of binge eating that must occur at least once a week for a period of 3 months. So now, what do we mean by an episode of binge eating? This is defined as eating in a discrete amount of time an amount of food that is relatively larger than what most people would eat if given the same amount of time under the same circumstances. And this should also be followed by a sense of a lack of control, like you want to stop but you're failing to, you have no control over it. So now what we mean here exactly is that if you're given the same amount of time, let's say all of us are going to have lunch, for you're having a relatively larger amount than what everyone else may be eating, even if we all didn't have breakfast, but there is an amount of food that we know at least someone should not go beyond. But for you, you're eating too much, larger than that quantity, and this is going on over and over. Maybe you went and had lunch, now you're going back maybe to the dormitory or maybe to home or your house, you're eating more snacks, like you're eating too much even when you want to stop, but it's not happening. Like you just want to continue eating. And now when this happens at least every week for 3 months, that's when you can diagnose you for binge. And not just that, there are also a couple of other things that you have to follow up that I'm going to enlighten you about. So now stick with me and let's get into that. So how exactly can you tell that you may have a binge eating disorder, or your friend or family member or even your child that they may have a binge eating disorder? Now, these are things that you need to look out for. Number one, if under normal circumstances you're eating a relatively large amount of food or much more food than what most people would be eating or any people around you would be eating, like for you, your amount of food goes to like, I don't know, this level. If you've seen like people at eating competitions, if that for you happens like at least once a week for 3 months, like you're eating too much food uncontrollably, too much food. And when it comes to our generation, it's usually the snacking part of it, because most of us don't even eat healthy food. So you're eating this snack to the other snack to the other snack. Secondly is if you feel like you lack a sense of self-control over your eating, you feel like you fail to control how much you're eating or even how often you're eating, like this is bad, I want to stop but somehow I'm failing to, because normally for any normal person, when you eat and you feel like now I'm satisfied or I think I should stop, and you stop there and then. But if you feel like you want to stop but somehow you're not stopping, that's also another thing you need to look out for. And then thirdly, I feel like most people are going to relate more to this if you feel like you eat much more rapidly than normal. Now, have you ever been watching like a movie, or maybe you're looking at something like, maybe let me snack on something, you ate your supper but now you just need to watch a movie, but it's you on the first snack, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the movie is not even a quarter way, you're getting onto the 10th, now you're going to even look for more food, like you're eating more rapidly than what a normal person should be doing. At least you should know maybe 3 or 4 snacks should take me through the entire movie, but somehow you're like on your 11th and the movie is not even halfway. Or you're just going to have lunch and somehow for you, you're done in the first 2 seconds and you want more food when people have not even taken their first fork into the food. Like you're eating more rapidly than normal. I think you can understand what I'm saying, but don't diagnose yourself with just that. You have to consider more things than just one. Okay, but still, that's something you need to look out for. The other thing is if you eat until you are uncontrollably full. Now, the example I'm still going to give on this is if you've seen people at eating competitions. Someone eats, they feel like they're full, but because it's a competition, they still have to go on until maybe they win the competition or finish the food. Now, for you, this is your normal life. Like, you eat the food, you feel like you're full, but you're still going on and on, and it's not even a competition. It's just, this is your life. This is your life. No one is pushing you, no one is following you up, no one is punishing you. It's just you voluntarily eating your food. You eat until even you can't move properly, you can't sit or even sleep properly. Like, your stomach isn't like, you know what I mean. Also, the other thing to look out for is if you're eating a large amount of food but you're not feeling hungry. Like, you just had lunch but somehow you still want to have like the same food that you had for lunch. Now you want like similar quantity, you want to keep on going. You're not hungry, you just ate your food, you're okay, but you still want to go on and eating, not even just small amounts of food, like it's just a snack or something. Even if it's not like a full course meal, but somehow you're still eating, but you're not hungry, you just ate. And also, if you feel embarrassed or guilty about it, that sometimes you have to hide yourself, or you're going to eat this food, or isolate yourself, or you don't want people to know that you ate. If it's a child, they'll just steal the food and go hide themselves. Like, yes, you're eating, but you know it's not right. You feel guilty about it, or even embarrassed about it. So when we're diagnosing a binge eating disorder, there is something we want to make sure we exclude, because it almost looks like it. This is called bulimia. This is also an eating disorder. So what happens in bulimia? Someone is binge eating. Yes, they're eating a relatively large amount of food than what most people are eating, but for it, it's accompanied with practices that enable this person not to gain weight. Because when someone is eating, of course, yes, they're going to become fat or gain more weight, but for them, what they do is that they will maybe purge, induce vomiting, or they'll do fasting or exercises so that they get off that weight. They don't want to gain that weight. But they're not any different from binge eating, because they're eating the same food. But for them, how different they are from the binge eating disorder is that it is accompanied by practices to avoid that weight gain. So when an individual comes to you and they're complaining about binge eating, don't doubt them because they're smaller in size. No. So people will eat a lot of food, but then they'll still find ways to make sure they get off that weight. They don't stay with that weight. Those are some of the things that we look out for individuals that we may have to diagnose with binge eating disorder. When we're diagnosing a binge eating disorder, we grade it into 4 different ways according to the severity. Now, the severity here, we're looking at how many episodes of binge eating an individual has. And we defined an episode of binge eating earlier on at the start of the video. Here we're looking at if an individual is eating a relatively large amount of food given the same amount of time or the same circumstances compared to other people around them. We have mild, we have moderate, we have severe, and extreme. Now, what happens in the mild? In the mild, it means an individual has 1 to 3 episodes of binge eating per week. Secondly is moderate. Moderate binge eating disorder is when an individual has 4 to 7 episodes of binge eating per week. And thirdly is the severe one, where an individual has 8 to 13 episodes of binge eating per week. And lastly, the extreme one is when an individual has 14 or more episodes of binge eating per week. Now, that's how we grade the severity of your binge eating disorder. Now, a few things have been identified about why individuals binge eat, or they may have binge eating disorder. And one of those that we talked about, depression. When someone is going through depression, they feel like eating helps them forget the problems or feel better. Or if someone has a negative body image, for example, they feel like they're small and they don't feel comfortable about their weight, so they eat more and more and more to gain weight, and eventually they get into binge eating. Like, some people have a low self-esteem and they feel like eating is what helps them through. And I also think some people, according to how you were raised or how you grew up, some people may get up that habit, or even your socio-economic status. Some people just have money and they feel like they just want to eat. So that's all that we can talk about binge eating disorder for now. We have more videos that are coming up, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. See you again in the next video, and bye.